Thierry and I asked parliamentary questions some time ago about the risks of a possible nuclear war as a result of the conflict currently unfolding in Ukraine. Today we received answers from the Defense Minister and the Foreign Affairs Minister. I thought, let me go through some of those answers with you. And why do I want to do that so badly? Because then you'll see that there are actually no relationships between the question you ask and the answer you get. In debates, we see many examples of that, but also in written questions. It's less common with written questions, because normally we do get a better answer there. But some ministers make it very brief, and this is a good example. And I just want to go through a few 7 examples with you. Question 2 that we have asked. By the way, you can find all those questions and answers online, so you can check everything. There we present to the minister that Macron has said we might send troops to Ukraine. And Russia actually responded that, well, if that happens, the chance of a nuclear war is quite high. And we have asked the ministers, how serious do you consider that threat now? That it indeed escalates? And then you receive as a response, I am currently reading the response. No, they do not agree with that. Okay, and the question is why? It must be stated up front. I am now reading that Russia started this war by unlawfully invading Ukraine to violate the sovereignty of the country. It is Russia that is increasing the chance of escalation of this war through escalating actions and rhetoric. Furthermore, Russia can end the war against Ukraine at any moment to withdraw, end quote. And you see this multiple times, you see this response. Russia bad, but not the question. The question is, if that happens, if NATO does that, what we're asking is, sending troops to Ukraine, what is the likelihood of a nuclear conflict? That is the question we ask. And you get the answer, Russia bad. That is not the question at all. Question 3, another good example. How do you assess the statement of the Chief of Defense, General Onel Eichelsheim, that you should keep all options open to see how you can best support Ukraine? Do you think the command of the Dutch troops, in your opinion, falls under these options? If yes, why? If no, why not? And then the answer we receive is that the commander of the armed forces advises the cabinet on military support to Ukraine and considers all options based on circumstances. Yes, that is not the question at all. It is like asking someone, should we go on vacation to France or Germany by car or maybe by train? The respondent answers, the car is a means of transportation for vacation, so no answer to the question. And so it goes time and time again. I'll give you a few examples. It's very concerning because you don't get an answer. Q7. Do you take the threat of Russia using nuclear weapons if Ukraine is attacked seriously? How does the Netherlands view this? And then you get this as an answer. Territory is threatened. Do you take the threat of Russia using nukes if this third Ukraine is attacked seriously? Seriously, that's how he always goes to how neck. How does the Netherlands view that? The illegal Russian annexations of Crimea in 2014 and of the Donetsk, Lugansk, Soron, and Zaporizhzhia Oblasts in 2022 are a blatant violation of the sovereignty of the nations. The ambiguous statements of the Russian leadership regarding the protection of these areas by all possible means are therefore not legitimate and irresponsible. The US have previously publicly stated that Russian nuclear deployment in Ukraine will have catastrophic consequences for Russia. Okay, that's fine, because this is not an answer to our query. It's like, yes, Russia is misbehaving, but not our question. Question 11. We then ask, what is most important for you? That is a very important question, I think, and especially for the Dutch Minister of Defense. Preventing, that is our question, an all-destructive nuclear war with Russia, or unconditional support for the survival of Ukraine. That is what we are doing now. Which priority serves Dutch interest best? Can you elaborate on your answer? Then you'll receive the same mantra as a response. War can stop if Russia withdraws from Ukraine. Government considers nuclear weapons threat highly irresponsible. The Dutch interest is best served by supporting Ukraine unconditionally while preventing a nuclear war with Russia at the same time. In other words, no answer to the question, because those are two opposing goals. So, if you continue to escalate, likelihood of a nuclear war is greater. If you ask someone what to do, eat a lot or lose weight, you can't do both at the same time. And that gives you as an answer, well, I enjoy eating a lot, but I also want to lose weight simultaneously. That is not possible. Question 13. Do you think Stoltenberg's statement that Ukraine will become a NATO member increases or decreases the likelihood of a direct war between Russia and NATO? How do you assess this statement? So, I received an answer. Since Booker's NATO summit in 2008, NATO and its allies have stated that the future of Ukraine lies in NATO. The decision has been publicly known and debated for over 15 years. The statements made at the Vilnius NATO summit in July 2023 reaffirmed this. Not an answer to how real is the risk if Ukraine becomes a member it will escalate into a war between Russia and David. Stoltenberg has made mention of it, and the response is that Ukraine should have the ability to become a member of NATO. So that is not the question. It is similar to asking someone about their perception of the likelihood of fraud without properly tendering the required documents. I'm doing something. Then someone will explain fraud and tendering. That's not the question. Question 14 and 15, those are two separate questions. We have requested and the government will answer them separately. Last questions I'll quickly go through with you, then address together. First question, question 14. Can Ukraine join NATO while there's still a war between Ukraine and Russia? Can that happen? Can Ukraine do that? A very specific question. Q15. If Ukraine could join NATO while at war with Russia, does this mean that, under Article 5 of the NATO treaty, the Netherlands will also be automatically at war with Russia? A logical question. Our two questions clear. You understand it, all understand it. What is the answer? Answer to Q14 and 15. During NATO summit in Vilnius, allies reaffirm Ukraine's future NATO membership. At the time when the conditions for it are fulfilled, and when all allies are in agreement with it. Point. Absolutely no exaggeration to ask. So we ask how risky it is that we would go to war if Ukraine were to join NATO now. Due to their war with Russia, they need to explain the current process that is currently happening. Fully answered. Happens repeatedly. When you get these answers, which we're getting more and more, then you know they're cornered. No way out, no excuse. Also serious that Chamber, we were going to let them get away with this because Chamber constitutionally obligated to provide answers to questions we ask. And they do not do that. And that is very worrying, but we will continue to ask questions.